so welcome to our Google Classroom Basics session. I really wanted to do this because with distance learning, everyone had to just like jump in and just go, and we really didn't have time to stop and plan and be thoughtful and intentional with setting up our classrooms like we usually do at the beginning of the school year. So I've been doing a lot of research behind the scenes and trying to figure out like what is the most effective and efficient way to set up a classroom. And even though we have our classrooms already established, we can still go in and start to organize them a little bit, and also in preparation for the upcoming school year, because we will be doing some type of hybrid distance face-to-face learning. So I'm going to start at the very basics and just kind of walk you through what it looks like. I've created on my Google Keep a classroom checklist, and as soon as because I'm always adding to it, so as soon as I kind of get it done, then I'll be able to share with everyone. And then when we finish the class today, I'll be able to send you just a little checklist that kind of recaps the different areas that we're going to talk about. So we're going to focus on the 5 areas of your Google Classroom just for today. And your Google Classroom can be used for anything. So I know that it's not just teachers that have Google Classrooms. Even as a school principal, I have several Google Classrooms, one for my staff. That's our kind of PD or our school-wide hub. Then I have one for all the students. So that's kind of like our student activity hub. So even, I know we have our school counselor. Our counselor has a Google Classroom. So it can be used for whatever it is that you need it to be used for. And you can just kind of modify some of the things to fit what it is that you may need. So to start off, we're going to go ahead and launch the Google Classroom app. Now, depending on your school site, like I know for our school site, you have to be logged in with your work email. Now, you can use Google Classroom with your personal email, but you won't have all the features. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a class, and you would simply just go up to the plus sign. If you've never created a class, press it, and you'll get 2 options: to join a class or to create a class. So if you know a class code and you want to join a class, you'll type it in there. For this sake, we're going to create a class, and I'm going to just create a fictitious class. So I'm going to call it Art 101, and I don't have to fill in all this other stuff for now. And it's going to go ahead and it's going to create my class. It'll take just a minute. All right, so now we have our blank template for our class. And if you were able to watch the previous video in this series, I talked about how you can brand and personalize and customize your classroom experience. So the very first thing that I want to do, and if I go back to my checklist, is I have stream set up. Let me see, can I make this bigger? Okay, that's better. All right, so I want to set up my stream. So this is kind of like your home page. When the students first walk into the doors of your classroom or your office, this is what they want to see. So you definitely want to make a good impression, but there's some things that you definitely should customize on here. So the first thing I want to do is I definitely want to customize my header. And so I've already saved all this stuff. And you can resize it. And again, I talked about this on the video that featured Canva and Bitmoji, how you can kind of create your own personalized headers. Come on, Mr. Mouse. And then it goes ahead and it now lets my students know that, hey, they have entered my class. A couple other things that you may want to do is do a welcome message. So I always say here you can do announcements in different posts, and you can also respond to posts for your students. But before we do that, let's go to our settings. We want to adjust our settings. So over here is the little wheel, the cog wheel. And when you click on that, it opens up your settings. So there, if you need to change the name of your class, any of those things, here's your class code. This is what you would share with students that you want. For your stream, do you want to make it an interactive board, or is it just for you to give announcements? So here I'm going to leave it so that I can post as well as my students. This right here is important. I like to turn this off to hide notifications, because if this were on, every time I posted a new classwork assignment, it would show up on that front screen. And then that front screen just becomes really, really wordy. And then if I have an important message, it's very difficult for students to find it. So I turned off my notifications on my screen. And then you want to generate your Meet link. So this is something new that Google has added to the classroom since we've gone distance learning. And now this link is there. Anytime I need to hop on a Meet with my students, it's the same link. The students will know where to come and get it. Make sure you check the box that makes it visible to the students. And then we'll come back and talk about grading in just a minute. So those are the main things that I want to turn on in my Google Classroom. And so now when you come up here, you see the class code is right here, and then the link is right here. So anytime if I say, okay, hey guys, we're gonna do a live meet today at 2 o'clock, students will know to come here, and they can just kind of click directly on our meetup link, and it will get us started for that, okay? Now, so I said for here, you know, I want to just do a welcome message. Welcome to Art One-on-One. If you maybe have a welcome letter, a parent letter, anything like that, you can go ahead and post it to your, attach it. And then here, maybe I want to, you know, I wanted to do something like say, comment hello when you've joined the class. That way, now you're getting the students immediately interacting as soon as they hit your page. So that's also very important. Okay, let's go back to grades really quickly. So in your settings, this is very important because I know that several of my teachers had concerns that students weren't necessarily turning in work or taking it seriously. They don't know, you know, how their grades are going to be. And that is because they don't have this setting turned on. In this, you can do either total points or weighted by category. I'm going to just say weighted by category, and we'll talk more about that. But then you need to make sure that this is turned on to show the grade to students. So every time that they log into your classroom, they'll get an update as to what their grade is. Now for grade categories, of course, you can use whatever categories you may, but for distance learning, this kind of made the most sense to me. Participation is what we need the most of right now, because if a student isn't actively participating, we don't know if they're learning. So I'm actually going to make participation 60% of the student's grade. They either need to participate in our live meet sessions, or they need to participate by commenting on our posts, on our discussions, submitting work, things like that. So that's important. So that leaves me 40%. And then I'm going to do classwork can be, you know, 20%. And then we'll do assessments at the other 20%. Now, some people may say, well, wait a minute, why is classwork only 20%? Why is assessments only 20%? Remember, in this platform, it's very difficult to monitor if a student is doing their work themselves versus if they're getting help or using the internet or anything like that. So that's why I didn't put as much weight into classwork. But if you utilize your participation platform efficiently, you'll be able to require them to turn in classwork and assessment. So for example, if you're going to have a discussion about making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, well, if they haven't completed the prep work, then they wouldn't be able to contribute to the discussion, which means that their participation grade is going to be reflected on that as well as their classwork. So it kind of works hand in hand. But this is just kind of my thinking on it. And we just wanted to kind of put some numbers in there as an example. And then we will go ahead and save our settings. So this is pretty much it for our, oh, here I have participation 50. Yeah, I thought about that some more. Weekly update message on the screen. All right, so next one is we are going to go to classwork. So that's going to be our next page. And this is where like all the magic happens. This is where you want to put the most organization in at the very beginning of setting up your class. And then now that we're kind of midway in our distance learning process, you may want to go in and start to organize things, because I remember when our students were very first getting onto Google Classroom, a lot of them were overwhelmed because teachers were just posting, uploading the work and the assignments and not necessarily setting due dates or anything like that. So when a student logged on, they were bombarded with this long list of work and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to do all this. I don't know where to start. So if we have this section kind of organized, then it helps with the flow. So what you want to do is you want to create topics. Topics is just another word for section. And in our topic, the very first one I want to do is going to be important information. And I like to do it in caps so that you can, so that it will stand out. So that's going to be one section. Then I'm going to do another topic, and then I'll just start with my weeks. It could be week number 1, or it could be unit 1, however you want to do it. Okay, and if you notice, as you add a topic, it's going to take it to the top. So all you do is just grab it and drop it down in the order that you want. Okay, so let's just do another week. Week number 2. And again, it goes up there, so we want to drop it down. So what are some things that you would put in important information? So I would put any helpful links that students need to know. I would put any schedules. If you have a course syllabus, if you have rules and regulations for using Zoom, if there's any type of templates or things that you may use. These are all things that go here. So if I want to create, let's see, an assignment is something that's going to be graded. It's something that a student has to complete and return to you. A quiz is just like an assignment, but it's a quiz, it's an assessment. A question is kind of like a discussion board question. You post a question and then everybody responds. A material is just anything else. It could be a resource, a reference, or anything, but it doesn't necessarily require a response or the student to submit something to you. So if I want to post my course description, okay, and then here, you know, you don't have to put a description. I can either add a file if I have it already saved in my Google Drive, or if I want to create one really quickly because I don't have it, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create. It could be a document or a slide, it doesn't matter. And what's going to happen is it's going to bring up a blank document, and I'm going to just name this course description. Take my caps off. And then whatever that would look like. All the information that students would need to know for your class, okay? And when you're done, Drive automatically saves it, and you just go ahead and close it out. If you want to go ahead and refresh your page, it's saved here as a draft. I'm going to go ahead and edit it. And there it is. See, it retitled it course description. And then you have a couple of choices. So if you teach multiple classes or multiple sections, you can, every class that you are a teacher in will pop up. So you'll just go in and you'll put a check mark. So you don't have to copy and do this step over and over again. If you want the same thing to go to all these classes, you'll just identify which ones you want, okay? Do you want every student in the class to receive it or just certain students? So right now I don't have any students in here, so I'm just gonna leave it set to all. And this is the important part for the organization piece, where it says topic. If you leave it by default to no topic, then it's not gonna go underneath one of the proper sections. So if you go down and I see I have my 3 topics here, I want this to go under important information. You can post it now, or you can schedule it to post on a certain day or time, or you can save it as a draft if there's some more editing that you want to do to it. So we're going to go ahead and post. And there you have it. So under my important information, we have our course description right there. Let's say we want to move on to week 1. And a suggestion would be to be consistent in your classes. So just like in a face-to-face classroom, when a student comes into the room, maybe they have a do now activity, maybe they have to turn in their homework, and then you have your agenda, you know, of the lesson, then group work, then exit slip, then what the homework is. I would suggest similarly in your weeks, you kind of keep it structured. So what do I mean by that? So week 1, there's nothing here yet, okay? So let's go back to our classwork. I want to create a material. And I'm just going to number it. And I'm going to say your weekly overview. So every week, I'm going to record a video for my students that explains everything that we're going to do for the week, okay? And let's say I did it on YouTube. So here it would ask for a video search. You would put in the video where you've uploaded your YouTube video. I'm just gonna snatch one of these really quick for example's sake. And then I'm gonna go ahead and make sure, again, under topic, you're gonna choose the correct one, week 1. And then again, if you wanted to do everything, let's say I wanna get everything out for the whole week, but I wanna create it and have it ready Sunday night. And I'm gonna just go now, I'm gonna upload everything. But I don't want the students to see everything at one time. So then I can schedule this to post, you know, on Monday morning at 8 o'clock, and then I would be able to schedule it, okay? But for this, so as you see, it says scheduled tomorrow for 8 a.m. And then you can do that for all the activities of the week, schedule them to pop up, or if you just want to go ahead and get them out, oops, if you want to go ahead and just get them out at once, then you don't have to worry about it. You just go ahead and click post. Okay, so see how that says number 1. So now the students would know that I need to complete this activity first, okay? Then let's say the next one, you want to do a question. Maybe this is going to be kind of like your do now question of the week. You know, question of the week. You know, why is the sky blue? I'm just making up stuff. It could be a check-in, like a mood check or whatever, you know, you may be. Now here, over here, it's going to be for all students, okay? Grade category. This is going to fall under, you can decide, it could be participation or it could be classwork. I'm going to do it as classwork. And then, you know, however many points. I mean, that's up to you. 10 points. Or if you don't want it to be graded, you can select it to be not graded. The due date, okay, again, what due date do you want this? If they're supposed to do this first thing, then you want it to be, let's say, Monday at 9 a.m., whatever time. And this is important because when you set the due date and the actual time, it's now going to populate on the student's calendar, and it will send them a reminder like, hey, this is due, and you can set your reminders however. Here for the topic, make sure you select the correct week. Do you want this to be a discussion? So can students reply to each other? You can select yes or no. Can students go back and edit their answer? You can select yes or no for that. And then you will go ahead and it says ask. Now, if you notice, it popped it up right here on top of week 1. So we're just gonna bump it down so that it stays in order. Number 1, number 2. okay? And if you notice, it says due tomorrow. So when the students log in to the stream, now they see, oh, I have an assignment that's due tomorrow. This is important. That's why it's important that we put due dates so students know. And then when you go to the calendar, and I think it may show my entire calendar. So it does. So that's not very helpful for you guys. Hold on, let's see. Right here, question 2. Question of the week, it's due. Is the sky blue? And then the students, they don't even have to figure out like, oh, what class is it for? They simply can click on the link and it's going to take them right to where they need to answer. Okay, and then you say, because God made it that way. Okay, so then now I know. And then you'll be able to see, you know, what students turned it in. Of course, there are no students in this classroom, but you'll be able to see, and then you can comment on it, okay? So that kind of just gives you some basic tips on how to organize your classroom. If you notice, whenever there's comments, you'll see the little comment bubble here, and it tells you how many comments. So that may be good if you want to go in and take a look at it. See, so I showed you how to do that. Let's try to create, let's do a quiz. So maybe we're going to do, for number 3 of the week, we're going to do a pre-assessment. I want to test, let's see how much you know about the principles of design. Now, what it's going to automatically do is a couple things. It's going to set you up with a blank Google form so you can create your quiz right then and there. The good thing about it is after students complete the quiz and it grades it for them, it's going to automatically bring that grade right on back into your grade book. So you don't have to go see what you don't have to grade it, then go see what the grade is, then input it over here, and it's calculated. All that works together if you use Google Form to create your quiz. And now that's different training for Google Forms, you know, but just know that that's an option there. So just so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Oh, this is new. It says introducing lock modes for Chromebooks. Help your students focus better on quizzes with lock mode for Chromebooks. With lock mode, students aren't allowed to open tabs or other applications while taking the quiz. This is great because now you don't have to worry about kids opening up another tab and researching the answers. So that's pretty cool. That's a new feature. And you would turn it on in settings. All right, so we're gonna call this pre-assessment. Principles of design. And then all you would do is ask your question, you know, how do you describe a line? And then you would ask, you know, multiple choice questions. When you're ready to identify, see option 1, other. When you're ready to put the answer, this, let's say, would be 5 points over here. And then I would check this as the correct answer. And then if you wanted to give an explanation of the answer, you can. You can link to a video that maybe demonstrates the correct answer if someone answers incorrectly. Same thing if they're correct. You want to give them feedback. Maybe you want to direct to a video that does like a GIF, like a party GIF, like hooray, or something like that if you want to. Okay, so those are all options. And then again, when you finish this quiz, when you finish typing everything in and you get it all set up, what's going to happen is you'll go and close it out. And now it's ready in your book. Again, you want to set a due date and a time. So again, we want them to do this quiz. Let's say they have it done by 10 a.m. Topic, make sure you put it under the correct week. And you can go ahead and you can assign it. Oops, cancel. I forgot to select my grade category. So this is an assessment. And let's just say it's just going to be 25 points. All right, go ahead and click assign. And here's our pre-assessments. It pops up. We're going to move it down. It's got a due date. So when we go to our stream, it shows it right there. And this is helpful too if a kid is supposed to be in class. Let's say if your class normally meets from 9 to 11, then whatever activities you want them to do that day, you can actually put the times there, and then they'll know, like, okay, at 9 o'clock, let me do this. At 9:15, let me do this. At 9:30, let me do this, you know, if you want to. Just so it's another way to help them stay organized, especially for our struggling students. And then, so what I would do for week 2 would just be the exact same thing. I would have my weekly overview, question of the week, whatever the assessment is, whatever the independent work is. If you have a Zoom meeting, you know, maybe you want to have, this is really interesting. Let's do this. Create. This is going to be an assignment. Zoom meeting notes. Instruction. So use this document to take notes during our Zoom meeting. Okay, and then I'm going to create a Google Doc. Uh-oh, come on. All right, so while it's doing that, so this is gonna be Zoom notes. And if you wanted to give them, you know, you can just put a text box in or take notes here. For the students, if they know like the Cornell note format, you can go ahead and insert a table for them to do those Cornell notes. Have the question over here, and oops, you can just add those lines in for them if you want to do it that way, or if you just want to do one giant, delete rows. If you want to just do one giant one, and then they can just kind of type in it that way. Okay, so once that's done, you can go ahead. It's saved in my drive. I'm going to go ahead and close it. Okay, and then finish over here, your category. This is going to be, I'm going to count this as participation because it's important. Number one, the students are not going to be able to take notes if they're not there at the Zoom or if they don't watch it. Okay, so that's important. The due date, it's going to be due, you know, let's say we're going to do the Zoom at 11. It's going to be due by 11:30. Okay, get those boogers up and out of bed. For topic, it's going to fall under week 1. And then what's going to happen is, this is the important part. You want to make a copy for each student. And what this does is now it's going to send every student their own individual document so that they can take notes and they're not all taking notes or copying over somebody else's notes, okay? So it's very important that you make a copy for each student. And when you're set, you just go ahead and you assign it. And here it is. Oh, you see what I forgot? I forgot to number it. So I'm going to edit it, put my 04 to keep myself and my babies organized. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move it down. Okay. That's pretty much like the basics in setting up your classroom. Let me see, what else did I have on my notes? Create topics, syllabus, office hours. Yes, let's talk about office hours. This is important, and this is something that you should provide for your students. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a material for my students, and I'm going to call this virtual office hours. And then in the description, I'm going to put click the link to schedule time to meet with me. Okay. This is going to go under important information. Okay. But I'm not going to post it just yet. I'm going to save it as a draft because now I have to go and create the link. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Google Calendar and I'm going to go to create. And I'm going to type in virtual. No, actually, I'm going to put my name because students may see a lot of this. So put your name, Tunson, office hours. Okay, now here's the key. You have 3 choices right here. You have event, you have out of office, and you have appointment slots. The appointment slots is what allows the students to book the individual. So you want to select that one. And then when do you want your office hours? So I am going to do, actually, I'm going to do more options. Okay. So I want my office hours. First of all, they're going to repeat. Let's say custom. I'm going to have office hours on Mondays and Thursdays. Okay. And my office hours are going to be from, let's say, 1 o'clock till 2:30. And I'm just make it 15-minute meetings. Actually, let's do 20-minute meetings. So students will be able to choose from there. And then when it says at a location, you don't have to worry about that because that's going to be in the Google Meet. And the students will know during their appointment time, they'll go ahead and go to their Google Meet. So we just want to save this. So now it blocks it off in my calendar, Tunson office hours. And what you want to do is go to appointment page for this calendar. When you click on this link, it takes you to here. So everywhere you see where, oh, let's go to next week. Sorry, my calendar is a mess. So Tunson office hours are right here. So when you click on it, you then can choose which one would work for you, for that student, okay? So what you need to do is copy the link up here and take that back here. We're gonna open this back up and then we wanna add a link. And go ahead and copy the link right there, add the link, and that's gonna show up. If the students are signed in through their Google Classroom, it will take them here and it will allow them. So now I can go ahead and post this. And it doesn't matter which order you have it up here, but now students know if they need help, if they need tutoring, if they need whatever, and they want to schedule during my virtual office hours, they don't even have to ask me. They just go here, book it. I'm going to automatically receive a Google alert to let me know that I have an appointment. And then the students will then know that when it's their office hour time, they come here, click on our Google Meetup link, and we'll go ahead and have our meeting. Okay. Let's see what else. The visible, we did grades, participation, classwork, syllabus, weeks, yep, assignment, live meeting information, we did that, assessments, rubrics. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you, and I'm just going to talk about this very briefly because I'm going to do an entire training on rubrics, but whenever you do an assignment, let's say meeting notes, let's open this up. Let's edit. And the participation, the grade, that's the 60%. If you want to just grade it and not just say, oh, I'm going to give you 100% because you turned in notes, but you actually want to hold the students accountable and have specific expectations with your notes. So what you want to do is you can create a rubric here. You can reuse a rubric that you already have saved, or you can import one that you have in Google Sheets. So I'm going to do a training just on how you can, there's this website where you can create a rubric there, import it into Google Sheets, and you don't even have to think about it. But for now, we'll just do a basic rubric. So here we're going to do a criterion. So criterion, let's say we want to do organization. Okay, how well have you organized, ORGAN, the information on the document. Okay. And then, so level title, it could be, if you want to use, I don't know, not well to well, not well organized. Let's see. Well organized. Or you can just either make this 3. And then just add another one at 5, very well organized. And then down here, if you want to go into like detail, a very well organized is you have your questions on the left, explanation on the right. They're documented in sequential order. Whatever the case may be. Okay, so that's one criterion. If you want to add additional criterion, you can. And here it's going to be out of 5 points. Okay, so if you already have rubrics that you use, it's great. You can just import them directly into here. If there's rubrics, let's say the for writing a 5-paragraph essay, if the school has a school-wide rubric that every teacher uses to grade 5-paragraph essays, and it's in a Google Doc, it's in a Google Sheet document, then everybody can have access to it and automatically upload it to the Google Classroom. So if you've attached a rubric to it, you would go ahead and save it. And when it's time, you won't see anything here because I don't have grades or people in this classroom, then you will be able to see what it is. So those are like the basic tips that I have for Google Classroom. If we go back to the document that I'm going to share with you and to make sure that we covered everything. Big 5 tips for Google Classroom: keep it simple. Like, keep it simple, because we're working harder now than we work when we are in a building day to day. And so we definitely don't want to just overexert ourselves in our Google Classroom. So keep it so simple. But the best thing that I can tell you to do is to personalize, to brand everything. Like, your brand is what shows kids that you care and you've put a lot of thought and effort into your work. And if I gave a student, let's say a graphic organizer that looked like this, and it just had the boxes versus just a sheet of paper with some squares on it, do you think a student will be more compelled to complete an assignment that looked like this, or just a plain sheet of paper and say, draw your graphic organizer? So you want it to look inviting for students. So, you know, brand everything. Again, check out the video for using Canva with Bitmoji to show you how to brand things. We talked about creating your sections and keep it sequential so that students know what to do first, second, third. It's just clear, bam, bam, bam. No questions about it. Parents will look at it and say, oh, you need to do number 1, 2, 3, 4. Customize the settings. You want to make sure that you turn off the alerts on your stream so your stream stays clean and friendly. Okay. The second tip is to load up your toolbox. Google makes everything so easily integrated. So you need to become the master of Google. Google Docs, if you have some worksheets, let's say you're teaching math and you have some math worksheets, or you're teaching history and you have some maps and they're PDFs, you can convert them in Google Docs so that students can then they can edit it. So let's say you want them to label the map of the state of California with all the cities and mountain ranges and all that type of stuff. Or if it's a math and you want them to be able to edit and work out the math problem, Google Docs can do that. Google Slides, if you want to make like drag and drop, you know, matching things, or any type of presentations. When you talk about assessments, if a student needs to present or share something or demonstrate something, Google Slides is there for that. And there's so many add-ons. I have a training coming up that's going to talk about Chrome extensions. All these little fun looking icons that I have up here on the top of my toolbar, those are all extensions, little things that make using online platforms easier. I showed you how to use Google Forms to give quizzes. You can use it to collect information, do surveys, things like that. Google Sheets, you can organize data, have your rosters, your lists. You can also create your rubric in a Google form, in a Google Sheet, and then upload it directly. Your calendar, you saw how well the calendar works and everything syncs with your classroom. So if you schedule those due dates, if you set up your virtual office hours, everything goes to your calendar. And if there's a conflict, then it won't allow you to schedule anything during that. So that's important. I showed you how to activate your Google Meet link so that you can have students, they know exactly where to go whenever it's time for class to meet. And then YouTube, we didn't talk too much about YouTube, but anytime you do, let's say a Google Meet session and you record it, you want to upload it to YouTube, you want to make it unlisted, and then you could bring that link back into your classroom so that students can go back if they missed it or if they missed the demonstration. You can also use that to create educational videos as well, you know, like where there's no one actually logged on and you're just recording yourself teaching something, you can do that as well. Organization zone. So everything gets saved to your Google Drive, okay? And you wanna spend some time color coding and labeling the folders. My Google Drive right now is a hot mess because I'm a principal, I am a teacher in every single Google Classroom. And so I have tons and hundreds of folders. Anytime a student submits an assignment, a copy of it goes to my Google Drive. So my Google Drive is a mess, but you can definitely organize your Google Drive, and I implore you, put everything in a folder, label it properly. You know, if you need to put numbers to keep your folders in order, you can change the color of the folders and all that. Keep it neat, just like you would your desk or your classroom or your file cabinet, you know, your binder. Let's see, create your templates. So if you're going to be giving out assignments to teachers, assignments to students, and you've created, let's say a Microsoft Word or Microsoft PowerPoint, you want to make sure that you convert everything to Google and then put it in a folder for templates. Then when it's time for you to go in and create an assignment in Google Classroom, you'll go to that folder, select that file, and then it's going to automatically create a file for every student. Okay. Yeah, immediately put files into folders. When you upload it to your drive, the starred section in your drive, you can put a star next to the files and folders that you use frequently. So let me see if I can give you an example. Okay, so this is a folder inside of my drive. So let's say I'm gonna use this frequently. No, this is not a Google file, so I can't do that. Let's go to my drive. Well, it's not as bad. You see, I do have some folders, but down here, whew, this is everything that needs to be filed. So if you go over here to the section that says starred, these are things that I use quite frequently. And hopefully your starred folder doesn't look as long as mine, but these are the files that are like my files and not what everybody's uploading to Google Classroom. So any document that you want to star, so let's say like here, this is our schedule of all of our e-learning sessions. If I want to easily access that, you see right here by the title, there's a little star. When I go ahead and press the star and then I close that out, now when I go back to my drive, I don't have to go searching for it. I'll just go right over here to start. And again, hopefully you won't have as many as me. And then you will be able to find that file, which is right here. Okay. So let's see what else. Now let's go back to my drive. See, I put everything in folders today so I can find it easily. All right, grading. We talked about a little bit about grading. Make sure that you check in on your students' progress. Establish those grade categories early on, or if you're not going to use grade categories, you don't have to. Provide meaningful feedback to your students. So when they turn in an assignment, don't just give them a grade and return it to them. Actually give them some type of feedback. And there's a way in Google when you're grading a paper where you can like copy and paste comments. So like if the students are making the same mistake, you want to copy and save that comment, so then you don't have to type it every time. You just copy, paste, copy, paste. You can also use digital stickers. I did an example of that on the video using Canva and Bitmoji. I showed you how you can use stickers, you know, to say good job or keep up the good work, or, you know, the question mark, like what is this? And then also set up your rubric. So I showed you the basics of setting up your rubric. And then last but not least, over communicate. You cannot communicate enough, especially since we are not face to face. And you know, a lot of times we have to hear something 7 to 10 times before we commit it to memory. So we have to keep reminding our students of this and that. But just make sure you have your expectations clearly. Record a weekly update or an overview video. You know, I can't stress the importance of that. That way students know, okay, it's Monday, let me roll up out of bed. Let me see what my teacher wants me to do this week. But also they get to see your face. So that's something that I have planned to do with my staff. Haven't done that yet, but I'm getting there. Don't forget to establish those virtual office hours. And then finally, create a classroom culture using the stream. So when you go back to your stream of your classroom, this can be fun. You know, maybe you've got a funny GIF or something. Like there's a add-on called, is it not gonna work? Oh wait, Giphy. And so, you know, if I want that, I can copy that link. I can go here, link, put it here, you know, and I can say, man, that test killed me. And let's say I'm a student and I want to post that, and the student posts that, and then you come in as a teacher like, oh man, like what was so hard about the test? Like what's going on? Let's talk about it. And then you're opening up a genuine dialogue. Or maybe, you know, someone posts something like, oh, I had a horrible weekend, you know, if they feel comfortable sharing. So you really want to use this as a place. It doesn't have to be necessarily related to the class, but you definitely want to set the expectations and the norms around how they use this space, because we know our kids can get a little crazy sometimes. But this is really cool. And this, a lot of times for kids, will draw them into your class, because this is why they use social media and some of the other platforms to communicate. So bring that communication into your classroom. All right. So that is the basics of the Google Classroom setup. I hope that it was informational. Again, even if you're not in the classroom, you can tailor it to meet whatever your needs are. Because I am doing this distance learning training program, I actually have set up a classroom for the distance learning training that I'm going to be adding people to who are interested in doing, you know, going the long haul with me. And pretty much what I'm doing with that classroom is just modeling all these things that I'm teaching to the teachers and the educators. And so, like I said, you can use it for a lot of different things. So thank you guys. And if anyone have any questions.